Federal government refutes rumor of resurgence of COVID-19 in Nigeria. 3 die in Lagos-Ibadan road crash. Fire guts Lagos TCN substation. On the foreign scene, dozens of asylum seekers drown after shipwreck of Libya. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for joining. And now the news in full. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Alipati, has dismissed the rumors on the resurgence of COVID-19 in the country, stating that there is no scientific research record to back the claims. Professor Alipati disclosed this at the maiden public lecture series of the Federal University of Health Sciences, Otokpo in Benue State, where he was represented by his senior special advisor, Emmanuel Odu. According to him, Nigeria has in the past fared well in combating pandemics. And in another development, Lagos State government has taken a significant step by subsidizing the expenses associated with screening blood products. This measure aims to alleviate the financial burden on healthcare providers and the public, ensuring easier access to life-saving blood for all residents. The Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service, Dr. Bodurin Chukwuemeka, explained that the current economic realities, which caused a hike in screening fees from 5,000 naira to 8,000 naira per unit, made the agency propose a total access fee of 13,500 naira, up from 7,000 naira. Acknowledging the economic challenges prompting this raise, Dr. Chukwuemeka revealed that the state government, understanding the financial strain on blood screening cost, has approved a subsidy of 6,500 naira per unit of blood available for transfusion. In a sad development, 3 persons lost their lives on Saturday night in a crash along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in Ogun State. It was learned that the crash occurred around Cornell Filling Station at about 9 p.m. involving 18 persons, including 16 male adults and 2 female adults. The Federal Road Safety Corps confirmed the accident in a statement by a spokesperson in Ogun, Florence Okpe, on Saturday night. She stated that the injured victims were taken to Idara Hospital for medical attention, while the bodies of those who lost their lives were deposited at the same hospital's morgue in Sagamu. In another development, a fire accident on Saturday night gutted the office of Transmission Company of Nigeria's power substation in Maryland, Lagos State. According to a late-night statement released by the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, the fire has been put out. The Director of Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Margaret Adesei, also stated in the statement that no life was lost in the fire incident. Meanwhile, the clamor for justice and accountability over the military bombing in Tudunbiri that claimed the lives of more than 100 people continues to grow as the Grassroot movement calls on the federal government to follow the ongoing investigation to a logical conclusion. Report.
While addressing journalists, the group called on religious groups and non-governmental organizations to join forces in fighting for the victims of the tragedy by holding the government accountable until justice is served.
Report of the incident by panel investigation should be made publicly available within 2 weeks of the formation of the committee. Sharing of assistance received should be distributed with all honesty and fear of Allah to the affected persons.
According to the group, Tudunbiri community is in dire need of urgent support from all quarters, especially the government, which has pledged financial and material support in the aftermath of the tragic incident.
The issue of traumatized, as you said, everybody is obvious. Those people are being traumatized and pledges have been made. And that is why we are calling on the state government and even the federal government to find a means of collecting all these pledges that have been made to a central post whereby what is need to be done to these people is being done. Here in Kaduna, we have no any other government than the government of Kaduna State. And that is the government that we are going to pressurize to make sure that all these pledges are being bring it together so that we can be able to see it, and at the same time these people are benefited from the pledges. And this is what we are trying to do.
The Nigerian had announced the commencement of investigations into the accidental bombing in Tudimbiri as pressure continues to mount on both the state and federal governments. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Reactions have continued to trail the refusal of the Supreme Court to release the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB Nnamdi Kanu. According to residents of Owerri, the Imo State capital, the continuous detention of Nnamdi Kanu is not doing any good to the nation, especially the southeast, where his incarceration has caused security breaches. Trust TV's Ajibade Press now reports.
Across the length and breadth of the state, there is a level of discontent as many expect a different outcome from the Supreme Court. According to them, the federal government has the power to find a political solution despite court's ruling in order to calm fraying nerves in the southeast and bring about peace in the country.
There is no way the Supreme Court can release Nnamdi Kanu without the consent of the president, without the president authorizing it. It's impossible. It has never happened. In our own time, it wasn't the Supreme Court that released me. It wasn't the Supreme Court that released Asari Dukubo. It wasn't the Supreme Court that released the Federal Fashion. It wasn't the Supreme Court that released Gani Adams. So when has the Supreme Court come to play here? Why must it be Nnamdi Kanu now that the Supreme Court more release?
Residents in the state decried what they term unjust treatment being meted at Nnamdi Kanu, maintaining that others who are agitating for self-determination in other geopolitical zones in the country are not faced with such inhumane treatments.
He's fighting a just cause, and he should be released. He should be released because he's fighting for the betterment of everybody that loves good thing in this country. So no matter what is going on, I will stand on his side.
They are suffering him and I think he should be released.
Twice, many people have spoken about this matter, that they should release him so that we will have peace. Because if you continue to hold him, it will continue to bring problem in the southeast. So we pray for his release. Let the federal government do something to release this man, so we have our peace and have our everything normalized.
Several demands by those perpetrating acts of insecurity in the state has been the unconditional release of the IPOB leader, but it appears their call is not getting the desired attention.
The Supreme Court is an arm of government. The federal government, the president can use the Supreme Court to release Nnamdi Kanu. He can release him on his own. But not to put it as if the Supreme Court doesn't release Nnamdi Kanu, then Nnamdi Kanu cannot be released. Nobody is expecting the Supreme Court to release him in the first place. We still expect the federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu as Christmas gift to the southeast. As they release Sunday Igboho, who is now enjoying with his family.
Residents, however, pray and hope that the security situation will not get worse following the Supreme Court judgment. Ajibade prays. Trust TV News, Owerri.
Now, residents of Yelwa community of Shandam local government area of Plateau State are decrying the impact of a collapsed bridge on the community. 3 years after the collapse of the bridge, nothing has been done to provide succor to residents who have been calling for help from both the local and state governments. Ado Musa sent in this report as presented from our studio.
Like many communities battling underdevelopment, Yelwa community until 2020 rely on Gadampandam, as it is popularly called, to link with other villages for socio-economic activities. According to the members of the community, the collapse of the bridge has disrupted economic activities, adding that farming and commercial transactions with neighboring villages have become complicated. They explained that apart from the impact on commercial activities, primary and nursery school students who used to cross the bridge no longer find it easy to get to the school, especially during rainy season. They said it is dangerous due to the flowing water along the bridge.
The collapse of the bridge affected so many things. It affected us, in terms of businesses, in terms of farming, in terms of transport.
Managing the bridge, we have already done our best in terms of managing it before it collapsed like that. Before then, there was a school here in these areas. Students are going there, most especially during rain season. They used to follow this inside the water.
The collection of this bridge, in fact, it contributed for a lot of things. It deprived from doing other things. If you can level the bridge now, automatically there's no any communication between we and the farmers and the people here around here entirely. And it causes us a lot of things.
Residents are, however, calling on the local and state government to reconstruct the bridge.
Our call to the federal government, state government, and whosoever is in charge, that they should please come to our aid. This is a very busy area. It's a very big business area. It's a very big community. We have so many businesses that are going through in this town. And this road, this bridge links to so many businesses. Let them come to the aid of this community.
Now we are calling the federal government and the state government. They should please help us. But this bridge, it brings us a lot of problems.
The collapse of the bridge is not only affecting the movement of the motorists, but also pedestrians who engage in everyday socio-economic activities. How soon the government will respond to the plea of the people remains to be seen. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, stakeholders have called for a more stringent penalties against perpetrators of sexual crimes and promoters of gender-based violence in the country. This, they say, will guarantee the protection of the rights of all, especially women and girls. The report.
Cases of sexual assault across the country have assumed a worrisome dimension in the not too distant past. Just last year, no fewer than 1,500 cases of suspects were recorded, including a Nollywood actor, Baba Ijesha. In Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, residents are not comfortable with the trend.
As a mother, as a female, is that they should give them death sentence. At least it will serve them right and it will curb the act. At least it will reduce the occurrence.
What is bad is not good anywhere. Socially, rape or raping is socially wrong, is spiritually bad. From any angle you can look at raping, it's not a good thing.
I live 3 years or 9. Let them go and kill them now. How should you be raping a 3 years girl or 9 years girl? So let them go and kill them. Also give their life in jail.
Wife of Oyo State Governor and gender protection advocate Tamunomini Makinde, while lamenting the trauma on victims of sexual assault in any society, cautions perpetrators to desist or be ready to face severe sanctions.
We had a girl that was gang raped and hot iron was placed on her private part. We're talking about severe cases. And this is the reason why sensitization, work against sexual-based violence is so pertinent to my heart. It's no longer something like the CP said should be swept under the table.
We have gotten a lot of cases here, especially this molestation of children and by relatives. I think we have some cases, just like I told them when we were having it there. We have about 73 cases we have recorded this year, and we've sent about 62 cases to court. They are still being prosecuted. 11 are under investigation. For these 62 cases sent to court, we have 83 suspects they are also standing trial. So we have all this that the warning we're giving in your state, for example, any case of child molestation, be it by the father, by the brother or whatever, shall never be swept under the carpet.
Meanwhile, the police in the state, through the CP Adebal Amzat, has assured that security agencies will ensure that perpetrators are apprehended and made to face the full weight of the law.
This is News Update on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. FCT residents react to World Bank's 750 naira per litre recommendation. Details of that and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the News Update on Trust TV, and here is a recap of some of our top stories. Federal government refutes rumors on the resurgence of COVID-19 in Nigeria. 3 die in Lagos Ibadan road crash. Now to more stories. Borno State has described former President Muhammadu Buhari as a true beloved father of Borno State. A message by Governor Umar Zulum to celebrate the former president at the first year's birthday highlights the achievements of Buhari, especially his efforts in fighting Boko Haram in Borno State. According to Zulum, Buhari made all his humanitarian policies at the federal level deliberately in favor of the state's government determination to strengthen citizens' resilience against Boko Haram. He prayed to Allah to grant the former president many more blissful years and in the best of health, strength, faith, and wisdom. And now Nigerians have been reacting to the recent World Bank's advisory urging the federal government to stop further subsidy payment and increase the price of fuel to 750 naira per litre. The bank's lead economist for Nigeria, Alex Sined, during his presentation of the Nigeria Development Update December 2023 edition titled Turning the Corner from Reforms and Renewed Hope to Results on Wednesday in Abuja, gave the advisory. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail spoke to some residents of the FCT, including commercial tricycle operators, popularly known as KK riders, on the World Bank's advisory, and brings us their reactions.
39-year-old Masood Ibrahim is already struggling to remain in business amid the current harsh economic condition in the country since the removal of the fuel subsidy in May this year. The task of feeding his wife and 4 children has been very challenging. With the recent World Bank's advisory for Nigeria to increase pump price to 750 naira per litre, the father of 4 is afraid that the already bad economic condition will become worse.
Yanzu dai akalla idan na ce zan cika tankin keke na a kullum.
It cost more than 5,000 naira to fuel my keke. Before, it used to be 1,500 naira only. Passengers should be ready to pay more. The petrol price should be reduced. I am afraid a lot of keke operators may be pushed out of business if the fuel price is increased. Masood, who argued that the only thing ordinary Nigerians were enjoying was the fuel subsidy, urged the Tinubu administration to reverse the subsidy removal. With food prices and transport fares at record highs, citizens have been forced to shelve holiday plans this Yuletide. With this development, Abuja residents have been reacting to the recent recommendation by the World Bank for Nigeria to increase the price of petrol to 750 naira per litre.
You can't just move the fuel, the price of the fuel from 250 to 750 naira. It doesn't make sense. It will tell on the citizen. As if you look at the situation of the country right now, you can see that the situation is not something to write home about.
6 something. Can you imagine that? How can we be comparing our economy with the economy of the world? And when we are fuel producing nation, it's crazy. I mean, see.
This recent advisory by the World Bank, which advised Nigerian government to increase price of petrol to 750 naira is already sparking reactions across the country. But the concern is that Nigerians are already battling harsh economic conditions, and nobody knows what people will go through if a price of petrol per litre is being increased to 750 naira. And some keke riders have already packed their own keke, and other vehicle owners as well have sold out their vehicles because they cannot afford the prices of petrol in the country, which now sells above 600 naira. This, whether Nigerian government will implement the advisory by the World Bank, nobody knows yet. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now on the foreign scene, at least 12 refugees and asylum seekers, including women and children, have drowned following a tragic shipwreck off Libya. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, says. The IOM's Libya office early on Sunday quoted survivors as saying the boat was carrying about 86 people. A large number of migrants are believed to have died because of high waves, which swamped their vessel after it left from Zuara on Libya's northwest coast, the IOM's Libya office said in a statement. Most of the victims were from Nigeria, the Gambia, and other African countries. The IOM office further said that nearly 25 people were rescued and transferred to a Libyan detention center. Libya and Tunisia are principal departure points for refugees and asylum seekers risking dangerous sea voyages in hopes of reaching Europe via Italy. Still on the international scene, a British teenager who went missing for 6 years before turning up in France has arrived back in the United Kingdom. Alex Batty never returned home after traveling to Spain in 2017 with his mother and grandfather for what was supposed to be a 2-week family holiday. The then 11-year-old boy's disappearance sparked unsuccessful appeals for information about his whereabouts until he turned up last week walking along a road late at night in southern France. Boyle said police are yet to fully establish the circumstances surrounding his disappearance and whether a criminal investigation is warranted. But he, now 17 years old, will return to his maternal grandmother, Susan Corona, whom a British court entrusted with his custody before he vanished. Corona requested that the family be granted space to process the news, but he told French officials he spent the past 6 years living a nomadic lifestyle with his mother and grandfather in Spain, Morocco, and France as part of a spiritual community. He said the family grew their own food, meditated, and contemplated esoteric subjects such as reincarnation. A doctor who examined Batty said the teen was healthy and did not appear to have suffered any abuse. And now finally on sports news, Michael Venom P has signed with the UFC and will make his octagon debut at UFC 299 in Miami on 9 March. UFC President Dana White announced the news after Briton Leon Edwards' successful defense of his welterweight title on Saturday. Page, formerly signed to Bellator, was in talks with several MMA promotions, but has opted to join domestic rival Edwards in the UFC. The welterweight will take on American Kevin Holland in his first fight. The Londoner has 21 wins and 2 defeats on his record and competed 18 times for Bellator before his contract expired after his previous fight in March. Page, 36 years old, has long been linked with a switch to the UFC, having earned a dedicated following as one of the UK's most entertaining fighters. And And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust TV News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentary. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.